What's going on, Jerome's? So the Minnesota Fighting Vikings season has hit a bit of an inflection point where all of the people who want the team to lose on purpose, lose games, to improve draft position, have come out the woodwork, right? And so now they were, of course, here at the beginning of the season 0-3, 1-4, but then the Vikings won 5 in a row, and then they sort of faded into the ether. But with the injury to Kirk Cousins and everything, and the Vikings currently floating at 7-8, having allegedly lost 4 out of the last 5, all 4 losses in very excruciating fashion. The question is, should the Vikings push on, try to make the playoffs? Yes. Or should they lose to the Packers? Should they lose to the Lions again, just to move up the draft just a couple of spots? Well, there's a couple of things going here. Number one, the current draft order, as of right now, the Vikings are selecting number 15. Now, they do have a marginal chance to move into the top 10, but of course, all the other teams play games as well, and they would need a lot of help to get in there. And of course, if they make the playoffs, they'll be out of the top 18, and then you finish wherever you draft wherever you finish in the playoffs, right? So, again, we're going to try to. We're going to just try and lay out facts, because I feel like, there's two sides to this coin, and I feel like both sides want the same thing at the end. They want a good team to win the Super Bowl, right? The whole thing about silver linings and blah, blah, blah. Sure, right? And again, I feel like, this is assuming, I feel like most people want the team to lose games, do have the big picture in mind, but also so does everyone else, right? And the whole thing about it is like, if there was a direct correlation between losing games and a direct correlation between a higher draft pick and success, yes, we will be in, except there isn't. And, the draft is an inexact science. It is, to a degree, a crapshoot. And especially at this, we'll get into the reasons, right? But we're going to try and make this the least smug and least condescending as possible, because I feel like the people who want the team to tank are super smug and condescending, because the number one is, well, I want to win a Super Bowl. I don't care about beating the Packers, all that stuff. But yes, so does everyone. Everyone wants that. And again, if losing these couple games directly led to a Super Bowl, we're all in. We'll take the short-term pain, except there isn't. And in terms of moving up in the draft to find generational talent, there's no guarantee of that either. Right. Again, the draft is an inexact science. But like we said, hey, if losing these next 2 games, guaranteed, the Vikings would land their future franchise quarterback, and he was guaranteed to be a generational talent, and the Vikings were guaranteed to win a Super Bowl, yes, we would be in, except there's not. And also, there's literally no evidence that losing these next 2 games would improve the Viking status. One minuscule 0.0001% in either direction. So really is a moot point. And the Packers game is not the Super Bowl. Okay, obviously it's not. But you're telling me that you're okay on national television, Sunday Night Football, that you want the Vikings to lose to the Packers, and the Packers keep their playoff hopes alive. You're telling me that that's exactly what you want? No. I feel like gonna get mushy here, but we're only on this planet for so long, and we only have so many games. We only have so many seasons, and enjoying your team winning a game, especially against your hated rival, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I understand people want to be like, well, what about a couple years from now? What if you don't have a couple years? Or if the Vikings get in the playoffs, they're just going to lose anyways. How do you know? I understand the Vikings have a lot of injuries. I understand the Vikings have been a bit of a mess the last 5 games, but how do you know? If the Vikings have a 0% chance to win the Super Bowl this year, bet everything that you have. Cash out everything. Just like go all in, betting on the don't. Not going to do it? Nah, that's what I thought. Anyways, but the whole, the Packers game is not Super Bowl. Yeah, exactly. But beating your rival on national TV, that feels kind of good. And also a chance to get back at the Lions. Yes. And also, hey, the Lions may be in play for the 1 seed. Just pissing in their cornflakes would be delightful. All right. So here's 9 reasons why tanking right now is dumb. Number 1, the Vikings are still alive for the playoffs. And as weird as it sounds, the Vikings still have breath in their lungs. They still have a roughly 26% chance via the upshot, 19% chance via ESPN. But either way, yes, they need help. I mean, they would greatly benefit by winning out, and also the Rams and the Seahawks, if they could drop a game, would certainly be beneficial for the Vikings. But this is not a situation where the Vikings are dead in the water. The Vikings still have a chance to make the playoffs, right? And also, this is not for the number one overall pick. Like, if you're telling me that the Vikings losing the next two games would guarantee them Drake May, would guarantee them Caleb Williams, or guarantee them Jaden Daniels, which it doesn't, by the way. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be a top 5 pick. Then be like, yes, all for it. But again, this is not that situation. And also, even if the Vikings landed one of those three guys, is it a guarantee that they're going to be a superstar and lead the Vikings to the Super Bowl? No, absolutely not. Or actually, when have we heard of a highly drafted top 5 quarterback busting? Never happened before, right? Sure. Then number 3, winning is important for the culture. So we will give one compliment to the Lions. So last year, the Lions were 7-9, and heading into Week 18, Sunday Night Football, they were eliminated. They were donezo. They had zero chance to make the playoffs. But the Packers could make the playoffs, right? And Dan Campbell and company, they easily just could have been like, okay, we can't make the playoffs. Let's just roll over and die. Let's play the young guys. Let's see what we got there. And frankly, a lot of Lions fans will tell you that they wanted the team to lose, improve their draft stats. So they ended up drafting 18 Jack Campbell, the linebacker from Iowa, who's not as good as Ivan Pace, who is not, by the way. And that's the whole thing, too. Hey, you're allowed to find talent day 2, day 3, and undrafted guys. No big deal. But the Lions did not. They went into Green Bay. They beat the Packers. They knocked Green Bay out of the playoffs. And you could say, like, well, that win was stupid because it hurt their draft position. It's important for the culture. It is. And especially, the Vikings with the roster, Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi trying to shift the culture, as well as this being a relatively young team. It's important. It's important to get up and win these games. And also, JJ is not going to stand for a losing team. So, obviously, it's impossible to tank, lose on purpose. But I don't know, like, if there's a vibe from the fans and even the media that they want the Vikings to lose, even when the Vikings have a chance to make the playoffs, I think that's going to sit well with Justin Jefferson. You think that he wants to sign long-term here? Nah. Also, it's the Packers. Also, it's the Lions. F the Packers, F the Lions. And the Vikings can essentially eliminate the Packers from playoff contention. As of right, all right, so where's the standings? Nailed it. So as of right now, the Packers are hanging on by a thread. They have a 23% chance to make the playoffs if the Vikings beat the Packers, which they will on Sunday night. That goes down to 1%. So effectively, they can knock the Packers out of the playoffs. And isn't that the meaning of Christmas and New Year's? Our New Year's resolutions, F the Packers. Same as last year's, man. Also, higher pick does not guarantee a better player. So this one is fun. Now you could say, oh, you're cherry picking data. Okay, instead of the Ravens, put in the Niners. Instead of Team XYZ, put in put in the Patriots before their ass. Thank you. Or swap out the Browns for the Jets or the Giants. Whatever. Actually, no, don't do the Giants because they won a Super Bowl in 07 in 2011. Anyways, but since 2000. The Ravens, number of top 10 draft picks, 3. The Browns, number of top 10 draft picks, 12. Also, 99, they had the number 1 overall pick. They took Tim Couch. How'd that work out? But the Ravens, winning 600 winning percentage, made the playoffs 14 and 23 seasons, 16 playoff wins, and 2 Super Bowl wins. The Browns, a 352 winning percentage, made the playoffs 2 out of 23 seasons, 1 playoff win, 1 Super Bowl appearance. But I was told that the higher your draft pick, the better your team is going to be, because the higher the draft pick, the guaranteed, the better the player that you get. Oh, I'm about winning Super Bowls. I just want this team to have a better draft pick, and it's guaranteed to work things out. Okay. But again, it comes down to culture. It comes down to coaching. It comes down to development of players, everything. Also, people who want the Vikings to have a higher draft pick, that's just going to be more tempting for Kwesi to trade down. That would actually be kind of great, man. Also, a deepest quarterback class in decades. And you look at, I think there's going to be 5-6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. I think that May, Williams, and Jaden Daniels are, I keep wanting to say Jaden McDaniels because we're too deep into Timberwolves season. But I think those 3 guys are going to be top 5. I think they're going to be out of range for the Vikings, absent a trade up. But you got Penix, McCarthy, and Bo Nix. It could be in play for the Vikings. Certainly does make sense. Also, you look at the top quarterbacks in the league right now, top 3 in terms of MVP race, although they had kind of a tough week. But Lamar, Purdy, Dak. Lamar was taken number 32 overall. Purdy, obviously, a 7th-round pick. Dak was a 4th-round pick. Also, Zach Wilson was taken number 2 overall. Sam Darnold, number 3. Trey Lance, number 3. I know you'll say, well, Lawrence is number one, Matthew Stafford's number one, Baker Mayfield's number one. Cool. Understandable. It's almost like this is an inexact science and a crapshoot. Also, you can always trade up. And I know what you're saying. It's like, well, if the Vikings end up at number 12 as opposed to number 15 and they want to trade up into the top 10, it will take less. Oh, Lordy. Whatever shall we do without that extra 4th or 5th round pick? I don't know, man. But either way, bottom line, I just want to win. You want to beat the Packers, obviously. You want to beat the Lions, obviously. And you can piss in their cornflakes. You can do all those things. You can ruin things for their fan bases, which is what you want. It's the true meaning of post-Christmas, right? And also the Vikings still have a shot at the playoffs. And yes, they're injured. Yes, no Kirk. Yes, no Hawkinson. Yes, no whatever. But as long as you're in the dance, you got a chance. Also, how great would it be? Again, Vikings beat the Packers. Vikings beat the Lions. Vikings end up squaring off against the Lions in the wild card round, and the Vikings knock off the Lions. One time. Or going into Philly and just completely shatting on their Christmas tree. Go ahead, man. Or get a revenge on Tampa Bay for week 1. all that stuff, man. But either way, hey, enjoy the season. You draft where you draft. And, you're never going to be wrong by rooting for your team to win a ball game, right? And again, going back to the whole, lose the battle, win the war. How's it guarantee if you lose the battle that you're going to win the war? Or how's it guarantee that if the Vikings lose this game, they're going to win the Super Bowl? Or how does it even move the needle? You can't even guarantee that. So, not nonsense. Play to win the game. You draft where you draft, and everything else takes care of itself. Anyways, that's it. You know what to do. Skol Production Value.